Please, don't remove the cloth. Her trembling voice echoed in the dimly lit room, desperate, fragile, and filled with a fear no one could mistake. He froze, his hand hovering above the thin fabric covering her face. For a moment, silence stretched heavy between them. What secret could she be hiding? Why would she beg so desperately for something so simple? He wasn't prepared for what he was about to see. Her name was Clara, a woman who had lived most of her life in shadows. She rarely went outside without a scarf covering half her face. Neighbors whispered, strangers stared, and children sometimes asked their parents why she always hid behind a veil. Clara had grown used to the pitying glances and the cruel jokes. What they didn't know was that beneath that cloth lay the scars from a fire that had consumed her childhood home years ago. In one tragic night, she lost not only her parents but also her innocence, her sense of normalcy, and the beauty she once took for granted. The man standing in front of her was Daniel, a social worker who had dedicated his life to helping people overcome trauma. He had met Clara when she attended one of the support groups he ran in Toronto. She had spoken very little, always hiding at the back, her face half covered. But something about her silence had caught his attention. There was a quiet strength in her, buried beneath layers of fear, and he wanted to help her find it again. Over weeks, Clara began to trust him. She told him stories of her childhood before the fire, of her mother's laughter and her father's strength. But she never once spoke of the night it all ended. Every time he gently tried to ask, she would lower her gaze, pull her scarf tighter, and whisper, "Please, don't." Now here they were, in the small therapy room where Daniel had asked her if she was ready to take a step forward. Clara had agreed, but as his hand moved to lift the cloth from her face, panic consumed her. "Please, don't remove the cloth," she begged, her voice breaking. Daniel paused. His heart ached as he looked at her trembling form. He had seen pain before, but Clara's fear was different. It was raw, suffocating. He lowered his hand, realizing she wasn't ready. But then, Clara surprised him. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she whispered, "I can't keep living like this. If I can't show you, I'll never be free." Slowly, with shaking hands, Clara pulled the cloth away herself. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The scars ran deep across her skin, twisting what once was delicate beauty into a map of pain. For a split second, his face betrayed shock. He froze, not out of disgust, but out of heartbreak at the cruelty life had dealt her. Clara saw his reaction, and her shoulders slumped. She thought it was the same look she had seen so many times before, that same sting of rejection. But then Daniel stepped closer. His voice was soft, steady, and filled with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. "Clara, you're still you. Strong, brave, and none of this changes who you are." Her tears fell freely now, but this time they weren't just from pain. For the first time, someone hadn't turned away. Someone hadn't whispered behind her back or looked at her with pity. Daniel looked at her like she was human, not broken, not ruined, just Clara. Weeks turned into months, and with Daniel's encouragement, Clara began to rebuild her confidence. She attended more meetings without the cloth, learning to face the stares, the whispers, and eventually, the acceptance. Her story spread through the support group, and slowly she became a voice for others who lived in silence, reminding them that scars don't define a soul. One evening, as Clara stood before a room full of people sharing her journey, she said, "I begged him not to remove the cloth because I thought my scars made me unworthy of being seen. But sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is let the world see us as we are. Because beneath the scars, whether on our skin or in our hearts, we are still whole." The room erupted in applause, tears glistening in many eyes. Clara smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in years. She realized she was no longer hiding. She was living. And Daniel, sitting quietly at the back of the room, knew this was the moment he had always hoped she would find, the moment she finally believed she was enough. The story of Clara wasn't about scars or cloths. It was about courage, resilience, and the truth that no matter what we carry on the outside, it is the strength within that defines us. Would you like me to make this story slightly more dramatic and cinematic for YouTube-style narration, or keep it grounded and emotional like this?